You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
Okay, so Vonda, like I said before we started the program, one of the things that I like to do anytime I get somebody on that is actually a union member that's been in the labor movement, I like to ask them what brought them to the what brought you to the labor movement? Did you always work in a union shop? Did you have you had family that's been in the labor movement? Like how did you come into the labor movement? What made you, want to spend your life kind of doing this work?
Well, so good morning, and thank you, David, and thank you, Jacob, for having me. What brought me into the labor movement, I hired in 1992 in the Bridgestone Firestone plant in Laverne. When I got there, I met a retired firefighter, Italian firefighter from New York, who was our department steward. He immediately decided, for whatever reasons, he saw something in me that I should be active in the union. And so that began my union journey. He worked with me and studying the contract and getting to know folks and helping to resolve grievances. And here I am almost 30 years later, still working with the union and now working with the Labor Council, which is the umbrella organization, kind of the federated organization for all the unions in my area.
Right. So what are some of the things that you've seen the union do for you in your life, or that you've seen the union do for other folks maybe in your workplace?
So coming out of the rubber industry, I've seen, strong safety enforcements. The rubber industry wasn't always the safest place to work. But over the years, because of the involvement of the union, I believe that, having a good job in the union provides not only good wages, benefits, and working conditions, but also the ability to be able to go earn a living in a safe environment. So, yep.
Gotcha. Were your did you have family in the labor movement at all, or were you kind of...
So that's an interesting journey. I've kind of studied that over the years. My great-grandfather worked for the old Ma Bell and was part of the Pioneers Union. I had an aunt that worked at the Aniston plant and was part of the union. But that wasn't something. My mother was a school teacher, so she was definitely a member of the Educators Union. But when I was growing up, teachers weren't as active as they are now in terms of their activism and militancy. But yeah, I grew up in a household with a union parent. And that's made the difference for me and my family.
So, Vonda, as we're coming up on the end of this segment, what are some of the things that you would want folks in the audience that aren't in unions, that aren't in the labor movement? What are some of the things that you would tell folks that are listening now?
Well, this week, with the passage of the American Rescue Plan, that's something that we've spent a lot of time as a labor movement trying to win. And it's not just about additional unemployment while we have folks that are laid off, but it is really about, investing in OSHA, which hasn't been investing in, investing in public health, what hasn't been invested in, investing in pensions, which, some of them have really suffered. COBRA. If anybody has ever lost their job and had to pay COBRA, they know that those rates are astronomical. And now there's 100% subsidy for 6 months for folks to try to bridge this time and transition back into, a working economy. Transportation. There's just so much in this rescue plan for workers that I think that it's important, because that's some of the hard work that the labor movement has been doing over the last few months. And I think that it's important that workers know exactly what's in the plan and don't listen to all the propaganda about how this is the best plan for workers that I've seen come out of Washington in a long time.
It's certainly a big change from the last administration when we passed tax breaks. You can look at the distribution of who's getting the benefits from this plan versus the Tax Cuts Act. So, Vonda, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. You can find her on Twitter at Union Women, and you can follow the Nashville CLC on Twitter and Facebook as well. Vonda, thanks again for talking to us. We'll be right back. This is the Valley Labor Report.
You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
If you want to see what we're up to throughout the week, get our snide quips about the news of the day, then you should follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/The Valley Labor Report. We're on Twitter at Labor Reporters. I'm on Twitter at JacobM_AL. David is on Twitter at Radical Unionist. That's spelled RADICL Unionist. If you missed part of the show and want to go back and watch it later, you can search YouTube for The Valley Labor Report and subscribe to our channel. You can go back and watch the full show there, and we also clip the show. We clip segments and release them throughout the week, so if you just want to see us talk about one topic, we've got a whole back catalog of stuff on YouTube. We also upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps, so to see if we are on your listening platform of choice, you can go to thevalleylaborreport.transistor.fm/subscribe. We've got a website now where you can buy our fantastic union-made hats. That is thevalleylaborreport.org. They're great. I love them. You should get one. And finally, if you appreciate our work and want to help us stay on the air, consider throwing us a couple dollars a month on patreon.com/thevalleylaborreport. Oh, and one more thing about the hats. We've got them in now. We've been waiting for them to come in. We bought like 100 of them. So we've got them. David brought them today in his car. And so probably today I'll be for folks that order right now today or have already ordered, I'm probably going to try to go by the post office today and go ahead and get them out just because I know that there's a lot of folks that have been waiting a really long time. So we want to make sure that we get those out as soon as possible. So if you've ordered one before or you order one today, you can expect those in the mail pretty soon.